Factors. An exciting lesson. Factors. Okay, factors, when we talk about factors, let me give you the example here. List all factors of, let's just put down a couple here, 1, and then 2, 3, and then 4. If we're talking about factors, in math the word factors means two things multiplied together. So if you're asked to list all factors of these numbers here, you want to know what whole numbers can be evenly, without a remainder, divided into a number, into a hashtag. Or you could say it like this, what number times what number gives you that, okay? Well, let's look at the number 1. Factors of 1, pretty simple because there's only one way to get 1 when you multiply, and that is to multiply 1 times 1. So 1 only has one factor itself. Whereas 2, what do you multiply? What are the factors of 2? What two numbers do you multiply together to get 2? 1 and 2. Okay, you don't put the multiplication sign there, just put 1 and 2. Factors of 3, what times what gives you 3? No, 2 times, it's just 1 and 3. 1 times 3 is the only way to get 3. Now 4, now we start having some numbers that have more than just 2 factors. What times what gives you 4? Well, you could do what? 1 times 4, or you could do 2 times 2. 4 has 3 factors. 1 times 4 is 1, and 2 times 2 is 4. Let's look at a couple more. Some of them 5, 6, 7, and 8. What are the factors of 5, or what times what gives you 5? Tyler?
5 times 1.
Correct, 1 and 5. You just write down 1 and 5. What about 6? 6 has 4 factors. What numbers would be factors of 6? Alex? All right. Jack?
3 times 2 is 3, 2, 1, and 3.
I said 3. You're missing 1.
Oh.
And that's why, let me caution you 5th graders. Okay, here's how I would do it, and you don't have to do it the way I do it, but over the years I've kind of figured this is probably the best way. Anytime you're asked to list all factors, always start with 1, because 1 times the number is always going to be one of the factors. That way you don't forget it, because that's a common one that people forget. And then, what else was it?
1,
2, and 3.
and 6.
Okay, and when you list them, please list them in order, because that's the way I'm going to read them. And when you write them down, please write them down in the pairs that give you that. Because what will happen is, let's do 7. We'll do a couple more and then I'll talk about that. What times what gives you 7?
1 and 7.
Just 1 times 7. How about 8? 8 also has 4 factors. And the way we would do that would be, I'd start off with 1 times 8 and put your 8 over there because you leave some space in there. What are the other 2 factors, Carter, of 8?
4.
And?
2.
Yep, 2 times 4. You always want to write down them in the pairs that give you that. Let's go with a tough one. How about 24? 24 has a lot of factors. Which one am I going to start with?
1.
I'm going to put 1 and 24 way over here because I'm going to do it from small to biggest. What would you suppose would come next? You don't really have to do it, but I would go with this here. Evelyn?
2.
Yep, and 2 times what? 12. And that's why I write them down in order, because I can tell you, if you don't, you'll forget about 12 when you start thinking later on here. How about the next group of factors? What else would go with 24? Carolyn?
8,
And,
3,
yep, 3 times 8. And then, we're still got one more group to go. What gives you 24?
4,
Times
6.
4 and 6. So if I asked you how many factors 24 has, 24 has
8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 factors. Okay, so you have to keep all that straight and just be very, very careful with that. How about this one? If I asked you to do this right now on your paper, list all factors of 20. What are the factors of 20? See if you can get them all. Factors of 20. What factors does 20 have? So we came up with all of them. Parker, what'd you come up with? What do you got down for factors of 20?
All I have right now is 1, 2, and 4.
You're missing a couple. See, and that's why, Parker, I said this. If you put 1 down, Parker, you need to put down what times 1 gives you 20, which would be what? So that should have been another factor. You should have put that down automatically. And the same thing with 2. What times 2 gives you 20? 10. So that you should put those down together so you don't forget them. And then you have what left?
4 and 5.
4 and 5. That's very important that you kind of write those down. How about this? What if I asked you this question? If you have 68, is 2 a factor of 68?
Yes. Yes.
How would you know that 2 is a factor of 68, Wade?
Half of 68.
Because you can always, yeah, any even number can be divided in half, which is the same thing as multiplying by 2 times something. What about 5? How do you know if 5 is a factor of something? Think about when you count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Cardre?
It'll either have 5 at the end or 0.
Right. If you have something like this, 365, you know that 5 is a factor because any number that ends with a 0 or a 5 can go evenly into, so it is a factor. And I believe that is the whole kit you can use. I just